Though the tempest rages, I shall not be moved. On the rock of ages, I shall not be moved. Just like a tree that's planted by the waters, I shall not be moved. I shall not be moved. I shall not be moved. Just like a tree that's planted by the waters, I shall not be moved.
Amen.
Let us say amen once again.
Amen.
As always, it's a blessing again to be in the house of Almighty God and among God's people.
Amen.
As always, we like to always call this our family reunion, right? Because God didn't have to wake us up this morning. He gave us opportunity to be together and enjoy fellowship once again. Tonight we do have a special guest that's going to come in front of you here. And I want to get up here and get down shortly so I don't rob him of his time. But coming shortly will be Prince Canis. Did I say it right? Ugbe. He's the minister and the director of the Darrell Memorial Bible Institute in Ugbe, Cross River State, Nigeria. He's married to Regina. They have 6 children with 1 foster daughter. The goal of his visit here today is to seek a single donation and partnership in our ministry training. He's going to give us a first-hand report and a visit to Ugbe, which I plan on doing in a couple more weeks, and consideration for a continual partnership if Henry Street values the efforts that's going on there. And how we connect is that, as you know, last year I went to Ugbe State, which is right next door to Cross River. And most of you know that we actually send sponsorship over to Mojima at Tekudo. And he's one of the evangelists connected with the World Bible School, as well as our brother is connected with Sunset Bible Institute, which you're probably pretty familiar with. And they're doing just some outstanding work over in the motherland, if I can call it that, for all of us here today. So I don't want to rob him of his time, but I'm going to give him a chance to come on up and give his presentation. We're going to have just one assembly today, because I think it's good in 2 aspects for us. That is that we're going to hear about God's work across the Atlantic as well as within these shores. And also it's a good cultural experience for us all. I tell people all the time, y'all know I'm all into the DNA testing and all that kind of stuff, and I got Nigerian blood on both sides coming. And so I'm a little biased for him, if you kind of tell. Just a little bit as well. So we'll let our brother come on up and do what he does best. Did you want the microphone?
Good evening.
Good evening.
Grateful to meet with each one of you as we are watching. We are going to look at something that is very, very important that will help us relate with each other. The guy there is Prince Canis Ugbe, was converted through effort of World Bible School by Darrell, an American who came over to preach Christ. I was a Catholic, close to the altar as a mass server, but because of the love for study of the Word, I took corresponding courses. I was baptized August 17, 1987, and 1990, Darrell sponsored my training to Nigerian Christian Bible College, the only Bible college at that time. We walked over and things continued to unfold. That they work in Durham Rd Bible Institute, through my effort, will continue to grow. And we need to see the growth in evangelism. That 1994, January precisely, Darrell visited. Unfortunately, he was killed in a gas station by armed bandits. It was very awful. I and 5 other brethren in the church were arrested and detained until the bandits were caught in the middle state of Nigeria. But just like Paul would say, he was in prison, but the gospel was not chained. We came out unhurt, and we kept preaching the word in that locality. As the war continues to unfold, we continue in an effort to see the growth of churches planted here and there. Akwa Ibom, we are schooled, it's a full-day journey, and we cannot send students away from here in my locality to go long distance while we have several churches with only me as the pioneer preacher and other preachers, teachers in the church who can plan a lesson. So we decide that that work will continue. That is my beautiful wife. We married November 23rd, 1994. This year, November 23rd, we shall have a silver jubilee, 25 years of marriage. God has blessed us, just like it was announced earlier, with this beautiful family. We have 6 girls, or 5 girls and a boy. My first boy, Franklin, died of seizures last year. We had all of this, and God is taking care of each one of us. My first daughter, Betty, will be graduating out of college this year, and she takes forestry and wildlife resources. So, God is taking care of this work. As all of them, Betty is taking forestry and wildlife resources. Jane Kelly is planning to enter into the college. He's going to take medical laboratory science. Nancy wants to take international studies. That is our foster daughter. Daniel wants to become a preacher of the word and a computer technologist. Jackie wants to take a course in medical science and want to become a medical doctor. And the last, Sherry, as well want to become a medical doctor. That is their profession, their goals they want to achieve, and we're praying for each one of them to achieve those goals. The man Darrell holds, just like Ayla said, he was the first American missionary of the Church of Christ that stepped his foot in Obudu land. He did it going into high school, registering students for the free War Bible School correspondence courses. I enlisted in 1993 in Junior High 3, complete that course in 1996 and 1986. 1987, I was convinced with the personal study of the Word and with the courses that I studied, and I told Darrell I want to become a Christian, and I was baptized. As the work continues, as Elias said, Darrell came visiting, but he met his death in the hands of armed bandits.
Yeah.
Why the name Darrell? January 1994, he came visiting that area, and in preaching in a local congregation on a motorbike back to an area that he was staying in Ogoja, they branched into a gas station to buy petrol. Armed robbers came and they shot him right at his chest.
Mm-hmm.
He couldn't survive it. He passed on. We named the school after him to honor and immortalize his effort. Without him, the whole of that locality would have still been in the dark of the gospel. He did great efforts for each one of us. Luckily, during this trip, I'm going to meet with his oldest son, Jim Foos, who is a deacon with the North Mercator Church of Christ in Oklahoma City. No Market, Deborah, and Lois are all doing well in their marriages. We want to do this effort to see how we can grow the church, teachers and preachers of the word, and that has been going on. As we walk in this area, we saw the need that we need to develop manpower, and that has grown. So far, we've graduated 60 students who are preaching both in the north of Nigeria, the Middle Belt, and the south and Cameroon Republic that we have students from. Where we are in Nigeria, we have our main campus located in Obudu. You can Google Obudu Mountain Resort. It's a resort area. We're in the foothills of Obudu Mountain Resort. Our campus is located there as the main campus. We have an extension satellite campus in Ogoja, which Mike Koda, a friend to our brother, and most of us on Facebook, the World Bible School Director for Nigeria, is coordinating that center. We have another center in Africa, Ebonyi State, where Ruben Egu, also an adherent World Bible School follow-up man, is coordinating that center. And we'll have a center at Ukanafo with Mojima that we are sponsoring, coordinating that center for us. So we'll have 4 campuses and a total of 108 students studying in all of these campuses. We do a follow-up, a teamwork to see how we can train more preachers to reach out the world around us with the gospel. I don't know, you may have a question for me. How do we do it? Do anybody ask any question for me? Any question for me? It is simple. Mike Uda, Mojima Tudo, Ruben Egu, and myself, and a team of other teachers work in pair as I am in the U.S., everything that is going on here, I give report back to this team of men that were working together. We collaborate our effort to see how we can work with a singleness of mind and heart to progress the gospel. Stewardship. It is needful. 1 Corinthians chapter 4, verse 1 and verse 2. Paul says that we should not think. I want to read. It says, this is how we should regard us as servants of Christ and steward of the mystery of God. Moreover, it is required of stewards that they be found trustworthy. Trustworthiness, honesty, accountability, integrity, and dignity is needful in stewardship. Each and every one of us have been given gifts of God. God valued each one of us, and as we go back to Matthew chapter 25, the talents that were given. Each one was given those talents, and each one knew that there's going to be a day of reckoning. The one-talent man did not consider it worthy. He considered his master various Darrel, a good-for-nothing master who wants to accumulate all things to himself and went to bury his talent. But when the master comes, he missed the mark. The talent was taken away from him. He was put out. He never valued stewardship. But the Bible tells us that in as much as each one of us have received gifts of God, we must use those gifts to the glory of God, knowing that He is the one who owns each one of us. I decide, by the estimation of the values of the gift of God, as a Catholic converted from a family of Catholics and have known the truth, I'll go back to serve God among my people, to speak the gospel in my own native language, the dialect of the people. I know the culture, I know the traditions, I know the norms and the mores of the society. I'll be able to use the spiritual knowledge of God, which is revealed in the Bible, to change these traditions which are opposed to our knowledge of God. We did all of this, and it is working. As servants, I need each time to be valuable and to keep on integrity and honesty in the work. This has proven in various ways, and God is being glorified even through them. We work, and I praise God that all is going well because of the value that God has placed on this work that He is using the team and I to accomplish. As this works all through, we place value on that which is great in the sight of God. Sorry about the slides that are not steady. On stewardship, there was a need for us. Over the years, many American congregations, individuals, group of friends have been making a collection of money and sending out to help Nigerian workers, evangelists and preachers. We felt that as a training school, and knowing that churches in America are rather declining, even today I read on the news, Spencer Gardner published the decline ratio of the churches of Christ in America. And project that in 2020, which is just a year from now, the church is going to be low. And that is going to affect mission work outside the continental US. We said we want to see how we can develop an institution where men and women under training will go out and be self-supporting to themselves. In 2009, God providence gave us money from brethren in the United States and we bought a property. That property lied from 2009 until 2016. I stepped into the shores of the United States. And there was an opening of hearts and hands that a donation was raised and we went on. I returned back home with those donations. This building get to that level. From September to March 2017, the building come to this level. I was spurred and excited about this. It's all working. God is about doing a great thing about this work in Obudu and for Nigeria and the sub-region of West Africa. The following year, 2017, I visited the US again. A little donation was raised, and we'll have that on March 2018. Take the building to that level. All was going up in a level that God is about doing it again. And last year, I was back again to the US. A huge donation was taken, which took us to the level at which we have a conducive, serene environment at which we are presently working to see how we can get a national accreditation where our graduates can gain teaching jobs in public schools. In Nigeria, we still teach Bible right from elementary to the college level publicly. Can join a bus from Galveston to Birmingham as a bus evangelist, preach the gospel, distribute tracts, literatures. We have that freedom. So we want to cash into it. As of August 2018, the building comes to this level. It is a large, gigantic building. It has an auditorium, a worship auditorium, have a capacity of holding about 100 people in an assembly. We have a baptistry within the auditorium. We have 2 classrooms. We have 5 dormitory rooms. 1 dormitory room for the female student and 4 for the boys and men. We have a library station. We have a guest room for internet visitors on campus. We have a water place on campus, a drill well on campus that is there. Something great is happening about us. God opened a way that a member of the board of directors for the school link us with the embassy of Japan in Nigeria. The Japanese embassy donated funds and a vocational training was put in place to help our students and the community to learn a skill in sewing and in confectionery. We want also to include computer training so that all our students will be able to go out to prepare their lessons on their computers, PowerPoints, make a lot of graphics in all things. So we are on that stage able to get the computers available. We're into training. That is the auditorium, the chapel auditorium, which holds that activity for us. We hold our daily devotional. We have morning devotional at 5:30 a.m. We have our chapel, general chapel for our day student who comes in at 10 a.m. in the morning every day. We have our night devotion at 9 p.m. We have our activities. We have sisters classes on Tuesdays 5 to 6 p.m. Wednesday midnight studies, midweek studies from 5 to 6 p.m. Thursday youth class at that auditorium 5 to 6 p.m. Sons of practice on Friday 5 to 6 p.m. Saturday is general evangelism in the community and the locality at which we are, and it has been useful in various ways. This auditorium was completed in August, September 7th and September 8th. That is the auditorium. We had the first convert on the auditorium there. I did the baptism. September of that year, we host all Cross River State Ministers Forum. Over 350 preachers in Cross River State were in attendance. The hall was not enough to accommodate some. Some were staying outside the auditorium. But it was a good experience that preachers all in Cross River State came to inaugurate this work that is working in the north part of that state. That is the side view of the auditorium. We used the brick mud, and part of it is still not being worked. Other part is being worked, and we are getting there with the donations that we're taking. We have a lot of activities going on in our school. After the Cross River State Ministers Forum, we held the first leadership training seminar with one of the elders in the church who presently is sick. He fell off and had a break of his rib and had made his heart to get swollen now. He's in the hospital. As Bishop Joseph Sunday now. We need to pray for him. Mike Udam, Sylvester Mogo were guest speakers away to come and train our students and the church leaders within that in leadership. We want to see how we can begin to bring up men who will become elders and deacons in the churches around. So we are developing preachers through leadership training ministers, seminars. It is working for us. And God is helping us to reach many areas in all of this. That is the first convert in the congregation, July 29. When the auditorium was being said, we began with these few converts. And today, the church meeting at the campus is growing on nearly every week baptism. You've been witnessing that in our Facebook post. If it's not this week one, next week is going to be two. We don't have next week, we are going to have 3, 4, and it's there because we use our students and this new convert in reaching out the community. We have a lot of tracts that we said, we print out invitation. Come, a new thing is happening in your community. Have you witnessed a new thing here? Come and see Jesus alive in your community today. So we invite people through various means like this, and they come, they hear the gospel. We ask them, what is new that you've seen here? Oh, you see us sing a cappella. You see us take communion. Every person who is a Christian takes communion. What question do you have? We want them to ask a proper question in their heart, in their mind, so that we'll be able to teach them, and it has been working. This is the church as of February 2nd, when we'll have Dan Goodyear and Ron Kress from Sunset International Bible Institute. They came to work for our graduation that took place, our 5th graduation, and they were there. They witnessed this church that has grown to this level. And after they have gone, we had baptized 3 more souls to add to this congregation. So, what we do, as of March 2018, that was the level at which the school was. At this time, we were meeting at the Township Church of Christ auditorium, or an auditorium like this. Students have only 2 rooms, hostel accommodation. It was not large enough. But because of the building that we have in place, that is a chunk of students that we have in our main campus when we inaugurate this. It was necessary for us to build so that we can have students, both male and females, to come in and register so that they can be trained. It is working for us. 3 of these students, like just looking there, they came all the way from Liberia. Liberia is also in West Africa. They come over to study because they hear about us on Facebook. While I was in the US last year, one of the preachers, who is my friend, Alfred Bian, said, my people are worried, they want to come over to Obodo to study. I said, come, they are welcome. And these 3 were the first that came from Liberia. And we hope by August, we are going to have more from Liberia coming to Darrell Bible Institute to study. We are imparting West Africa, and we are going to impart the world. This is a classroom activity. The Japanese embassy provided desks for the Skill Acquisition Center. We borrowed all of this from the Japanese skill acquisition because they studied from 8 o'clock to 11 o'clock in skill, and they come from 4 to 6 o'clock in skill. So we get these desks from the classes and get our students over there because we do not have the funding to have these desks in place. So we have this activity, classroom activities, with all the students there to do their studies. So we have all of this going on, both male and female. We have an attire, a black trouser, the white shade or black skirt, and the white shirt for the female students. We want to look unique. And as we're going to see, our graduation also is going to be unique. I was in Phoenix, Arizona last year, and I visited Canyon Church of Christ, in Anthem, Phoenix. They gave us a donation. Luckily, one of the deacons who is in charge of mission is a Nigerian. He has been in Phoenix for over 30 years, and he visited home last year, Isaiah Tukaren, and decided to come over to Obodo to see. So when he came, surprisingly to him, he was so excited, and he wants to have this photograph, and he invited me to come over to Phoenix to tell the brethren in Canyon Church of Christ Anthem about the work that is going on there. So we are doing what God wants us to do. Accountability and stewardship. We want to be faithful to all. We have this. The students, after the leadership training seminar, all of us have the students all there gathered. Those that are dressing on a black coat were those who are going to graduate. We use 1 full week to train them in core leadership. They are going to preach in congregations. Some of them are going to work with elders and deacons. Some of them are going to preach with congregations that do not have any. So they need now to get themselves orientated about working with a mature congregation and a less mature congregation to grow leadership. So they go over in this training. So we do that. That was the leadership, statewide leadership forum that we held. Ministers across state gathered. There's a chunk of them, as we see, both front view, right view, side view, rear view, in all of them, went all through. And it's all working to help us to reach the world and help us to grow a partnership with congregations around and within the locality so that we can easily work together to impact and change the world within us. I was still part of the leadership training that is there. Still on leadership, I need more of that. Yeah, that is the dormitory. Part of the funding that we received for the building were left over. I would not want the student to use their mattresses on the bare floor.
Right.
We decided to use it. Luckily, the property that we have a teak, a kind of a cedar wood planted there. And when we buy property in my locality, whatever thing is on the property is yours. So we saw them out and then make up the beddings for the student and then we put there. That is it. Every student bringing this mosquito net to take care. We provide the beds and the mattresses for every student to stay and live in. So we have that is the kitchen, the dining, and the kitchen. We feed as a community. My wife does a lot of the cooking with the female students, but she is the chief chef. She has to do, because if we don't provide enough hygienic feeding for the student, we don't have the money to take them to hospitals or to clinic, so we have to watch over it so carefully. So we eat. If you get over to our campus, you don't know who is a master and who is a student. We work together. Some people come to want to look for the director, and they see the brother from Liberia. They went to him and said, "Sir, are you the director?" No, say, "See him there." Oh, he's so. And if you allow him to sweep, yeah, I said it's part of me. I have to do it. Acts chapter 1, verse 1. I love it. Luke said, in the former treatise, O Theophilus, that I write unto you of all that Jesus began to do and to teach. I tell my students, whenever you see me do a job, a mini job, don't come to me and say, "Sir, let me help you." I'm only showing an example of stewardship on how you need to work to go out in service. So we do that. So we have this. World Bible School is so effective. So effective. We use it in reaching out to the lost, and it's easy penetratable through what? High school. Students want to study. We'll send letters to the principal of schools. We have a date proposed. They give us their date, and we take advantage of it, and we go out. When we started, this was the first school, the first school that we went over was a high school 74 kilometers away. Why do we go there? One of the preachers who is the owner of that school, business had overtaken its essence of evangelism. So we have organized and said we want to begin from here to reignite him back into evangelism. So we went in there. We held a 3-day War Bible School seminar, and we have a chunk of these students that registered, and most of them have been converted to that congregation in that high school that they are studying, and there's a church there, and most of them are still studying and enrolling in War Bible School. The second one is this high school here with a chunk of this. The principal of this is one of our teachers, and he preached now for the Township Church of Christ in Obudu. So I told the principal one aspect that will make you to be relevant in this school that you are taking care of is making the student to know Christ. And we went there, enrolled, and held a seminar. Last February, when Ugbe came for our graduation, we went there and held a seminar in this school. And we had to transport a soul back to Obudu, over 56 kilometers, to come and baptize because they don't have water in that locality. During the dry seasons, from October till May, no water, until rain starts falling from May till September, and then they'll have water and the streams will be rolling. So we'll have water. During the dry season, no water, so we'll have to transport him to come and baptize. And every Sunday, we have to use a motorcycle from the school. One of the students take a motorcycle, travel 56 kilometers, take him back to Obudu to worship. That is going to be monotonous, and it's going to make us lag zeal. So we plan to start a congregation there. And we have gotten one student, a female student from that community, to come to study, who desired to come and study. And he has been converted in school, so we have 2 now. Every weekend we send this female student, take stress and go back to your community. And then by that effort, we are going to have the church planted there. But they will need water. Luckily, I was at Healing Hands yesterday, and we sent a proposal. God will open hearts that they will have water, and then we can have a pool where we can baptize and get people converted to Christ in that locality. That was that was a class session during that lecture, seminar that came up in that locality. During our 5th graduation, it was unique. We have this chunk of men. We have some from Afipo extension program and those in the main campus that graduated. And they were all there. This is all those that graduated. They were supposed to be 24, but a few of them will not make up because of financial problems. They put challenges. They could not meet up their transportation to come from Afipo for the graduation. But however, it was held, and the Dean of Studies stamped prosy for them to receive their certificate from Sunset International Bible Institute. We have that is the board of directors, board of trustees for the school with Dan Goodyear. The man on extreme left of mine is the chairman, that is Justice James Ada, retired. He's a justice, was a justice of a court in Nigeria, but retired out of service. Next to him is my wife, Regina, and myself, the sister, Fanny. She's from Edo State, a member of the Board of Trustees. We have Barrister Clement Yunongo. I think he's also on your Facebook friendship. He also is on the board. And we have the 2 brethren, Dan Goody and Ron Crest from Sunset International Bible Institute, that visited with us. So the board was in session and had a meeting with them. So we are doing all we can do to see how we can be able to influence and impact the world in meeting the standard that is available. was Ron Crest, my wife, Regina, myself and Dan here after worship on February 3rd this year. Those are the teachers that we are having in Obudu. Unfortunately, one of them no longer comes. He comes all the way from Boko and had a challenge. He traveled over 180 kilometers, come to Obudu to teach and go back. So they have a challenge of funding. He said he will not continue any longer if funding is not there for him, since everybody volunteers. He had volunteered for 2 years. We pressed him for that, and we don't want to force him to go on further. So we have that. That is the map of Nigeria that you have, and we're imparting several areas there. One of these man, he is from Chibok. Chibok is where you have heard that Boko Haram 2 years or 3 years ago went and adopted 236 schoolgirls. This man had some of his relatives that were adopted. He was in school with us. He graduated and says it would be better for him also to be adopted by Boko Haram in his land than leaving the land for anything. So he went back to that locality, and Joshua Yaga is preaching with his family and is making convert from among his people, despite the issue of Boko Haram. We have this area in the north of Nigeria, Plateau State precisely, where Christians in the church, not of the Church of Christ, were in an assembly, and Boko Haram would dress themselves like Nigerian military men, went into here and killed several of them, including the minister of that congregation. The video is not coming up. I will not have the time for the video. I can have it later on. Then we want the school to go on, and their most needed effort to sustain the school. The most needed. Now we are appealing, even at this trip, to enable us gain the accreditation, to enable us meet up the need of a school of preaching like what we have. We need to have this, and that is why we are making up here. They are most needed. We need a main generator that will hold and generate power for us. For now you go, we only have a smaller generator that cannot take the auditorium. When the auditorium light is on, all other aspects of the lighting will be off to enable us have power to use. So we want to have this. As of September, when Southwest Church of Christ, Tigard, Oregon, asked me what will it cost to have this, we have the cost placed at just $15,000. That will give us a main generator. That would be a 20 kVA powered generator by Mikano. That will give us steady light, a soundproof power gen, and we hope that we'll be able to raise the funding for that. Fortunately, as I was preparing to come, Doug Reeves, who has taken over from Tim Burrow as the Dean of International Studies, Sunset International Bible Institute, says Sunset has placed a $7,500 to be matched by anyone or any congregation to enable us to have that generator. So we have 50% of the down price for the generator already for us at Sunset International Bible Institute. The library needs to be placed on classroom furniture. Library shelves, tables for classes, chairs need to be in place to enable us do proper teaching and learning. So we have that space, and we have estimated amount of 7,000, we should be able to cater for that. We have this kitchen and dining needs. We need big stoves and big refrigerator to enable us store our food and cook enough food for our students. That is valued at $6,500. We have student costs for the need of the students, food, medicine, hygiene, and cost for it. We want to provide this for the students that are in hostel and those that travel in and out. We have 45 students in Obudu campus. Others in the satellite campuses are working or doing full-time farming to help themselves. So we are not going to provide for all of the 108 students. We'll provide for those who are in the hostel and within the local area of Obudu who comes in to study for full-time. So we want that to be a $50 per month per student, who should be able to aid them in their food, supplement, hygiene, and health. Fortunately, also, yesterday, at Healing Hands, I met with Lee Hodges, who said that the organization, Hope Springs, collaborated with World Bank, and that World Bank will provide, if they are a community or an individual who will provide $2,800, and then the World Bank is going to provide a supplement fund of it, $252,000 to enable them build or drill up a well and build up a health center. That would be good. And I said, if that would be okay, we can have a health center in the school who should be able to cater for this. We have some preachers who are nurses and some are lab technicians who will now withdraw their services and come to help in this work and will help the community and help the church to grow in various ways. So for now, we are just asking for $50 per student to enable them cater for the health and food supplement that they need in hostel. We want to go out, see a distance of riding a motorcycle for 56 kilometers, see a distance of going to Abuja to oversee the extension program, see the distance of going to Afieko and Okanafo in Akwa Ibom State, a full-day trip. See the need of evangelism in reaching out. There's a youth van that we have raised up a 2,500, and we have a balance of 3,000 to be raised to buy that used van that will help us to coordinate and meander through all of these jungles to keep the work going. So we hope that that can be met to help us reach out within this community. We have, just like I mentioned, the auditorium that we are using now is still small. We have 350 ministers that came for the ministers' conference and were not able to be there. We want to extend it so that we can hold up lectureships, hold up gospel seminars, hold up worship and all activities. And that is valued at $25,000 to enable us is make an expansion to that building. What we need is a short-term mission and medical team to come down to help us to see what is going on. We shall facilitate by sending letters of invitation. A team will be on ground at the Lagos International Airport to receive and coordinate the activities of the visiting team, either medical doctors or nurses, or a medical team that will come in place. And we need all of this to be there. So we want you, as you give out your donation, we don't want you to just look at the photographs. Photographs alone will not tell you all about it. When the eye come and see what is on ground, the mind will be gladdened, because the photograph will only show a minute photo of this. The eye will see the expanse of all that is needed. So we encourage you to always pay a visit. I wish to appreciate it. Said it simply in my dialect. Mashipu. Onium Okaman Okun. Alizinoma Mwama Jesus Christ. Meaning, thank you all. God bless you all in the name of His Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
Want to send your donation? Send it Darrell Memorial Bible Institute /Prince Ugbe, and send it to Southwest Church of Christ, Tigard, Oregon. They coordinate all my funding and the funding for the work. If you can't send through there, you can send to Sunset International Bible Institute, Lubbock, Texas. They coordinate all funding, and every fund received a receipt from Southwest Church of Christ or Sunset International Bible Institute. And when they get over to us in Obudu, the board sit down, dispense, and what is going to be used, send back accountability, just like we have said that we want to be true stewardship. We send back a report of all funding expenditure back to Sunset and to Southwest International Bible, Southwest Church of Christ, and they send such reports to everyone that has helped us in any way. So I appreciate each one of you for finding time to come, and says, God bless you all. If you have questions for me about the work, please, you are free to ask about Darrell Memorial Bible Institute. But before I end, 25 years ago, through War Bible School, Mom, very lucky, began sending courses to that locality. And the Christian Church of Christ began supporting a man who is a nurse, Chief Nursing Officer, Matthias Ochui. And we work together as a team. We begin to coordinate and see how work goes. Last year, I was honored to be in their home, and this year I'm honored to be in her home, and she drives me all around. I love taking adventures with her. And she is a good mother.
That's right.
She can attest to you of my honesty, sincerity, and true accountability of funding. If you have any question to ask, I have a book, a reference. You can ask Sam Bernard. You can ask Dan Goodyear, who has been coming every other year from 2002 to Obudu. He was there this year, and he's planning to come again next year. But Dan Goodyear is 72 years of age. He's getting older. He will soon retire. I have promised him that I'm going to look out for a young man of my age or a little above my age who I will introduce to him and to Sunset, who will be able to take on this work from him. The essence is go on behalf of Sunset, see if we are meeting up the standard. Report back to Sunset, help us raise funds if you're able to raise. If you're not able, I'm always on the go. Tell me now, go now, back to Nigeria tomorrow, I'll get back. Come back tomorrow, I'm available. I scarcely sleep throughout the whole night. I sleep maybe 3 hours every day. I work round the clock because I have several ideas and I need to grow. I prepared this lesson and I had to stay awake last night to remodel this lesson again and this presentation. So, if Henry Street will give me the kudos, we can introduce Bro Anthony to Sunset International Bible Institute. He has been to Nigeria and knows the shores of Nigeria. He knows the terrain of Akwa Ibom and Cross River. It will not be wrong for him to go down on a visit, sit down with us, with the board, see how you'll be able to help in one way or the other. If you can listen to us for this work to expand, it will be so gracious. That is my appeal. Thank you. Mashi, God bless you. Thank you.
God bless you, my brother. Good job.
Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate you being here. We thank Brother Prince for doing a wonderful job. And of course, we got our spiritual meal as well at the same time. I don't know about you, but I've been excited for him to be here. And doesn't disappoint by any form or fashion. But I encourage you to accept the appeal. As my brother has said, I've been to both Akwa Ibom State and Cross River State. And I've witnessed a lot of the work with my own eyes. And so I've never been in a situation as hungry as I've seen both the preachers over there as well as the people that are listening when the gospel is going forth. There's some really, really great work going on in Nigeria, and I'm so glad to meet the network of preachers I have, including Brother Prince, in order to be a part of this effort as well. But hopefully, you guys heard him about what was the selfish part about this presentation, right? That I can go back over there and work with them once again. But that is part of my agenda, that I am planning to go to Darrell Memorial myself and share in the work as well. And so pray that all goes well in a few weeks. That'll be my joy to go over there and to do just that the good Lord sees fit. So with that being said, the church is going to give a donation that I've already cleared with the elders. But also we encourage you to give on top of that. Brother Mitchell, Brother Reuben will have envelopes available back there, or however he distributes that later on. And before you leave, feel free to do just that. But we thank Sister Loki as well. She also comes from one of my old stomping grounds, in Tennessee too. So you see, I'm biased in both ways, Nigeria and Tennessee. And so, you know, this makes my day all the same. But as always, we just want to stop here for a minute, and then we take any final prayer requests before we dismiss. I know we're over time here, so we thank you for that. But do we have any prayer requests before we dismiss? Brother Desmond, you want to do the final prayer request at the time? All right, thank you. God bless. Good message as well.